Okay. I'm going to make more questions tonight than give answers. So maybe this is strange and contradictory to what researchers usually should do. So I'm going to make many questions and give very limited answers. The drowning problem is because the last decades, in the developed world, especially, life expectancy has increased dramatically. And because of all the technological achievements that we have more free time to spend. So we are all wondering, how can I spend this free time? Because I don't need to plant my crops and use manually equipment to make my living and create food. I don't need to work from morning until night to feed myself and my family. It's so much free time in contrast to the past. And on the other hand, if we want to live longer, we are encouraged to, thank you very much, to sing. We are encouraged to have exercise. I know many people like Steve and Kevin are swimming every day, so aquatics are very, very popular. They help us maintain a good quality life and a healthy lifestyle. And we see that the last decades participation in aquatics is very, very popular and increasing. Therefore, mathematically speaking, the more participation we have in aquatics, the higher chances, the higher possibility we have to face a drowning accident. And this is how the problem starts. So let's talk now about the problem. Many of you, all these days, injury epidemiologists have dedicated research, about drowning. Statistics say that annually about 500,000 people drown in all around the world. And this statistic includes only accidental drownings and submersions. On the other hand, we know that cataclysms and transport accidents represent many unintentional deaths that do not count as drownings, which is very, very unfortunate for all of us when we are dealing with this. Drowning kills more children annually than so many other causes of death, like pertussis, measles, diphtheria, plague, cholera, dengue fever, and typhoid combined. And when we are dealing with statistics and research, we see that drowning is very often underestimated by World Health Organization because of a misleading coding system. And what I mean is, we take away of the picture many drownings that are coded in a different way. When you are with your boyfriend or with your girlfriend in a car and you have an affair inside the car and suddenly the car falls into the sea in the local dock, this counts as accident by car, not as drowning. When the aeroplane falls into the water, this is accident by aeroplane. When we have a submersion of a cruising ship, this is possibly coded as accident, transport accident, not as drowning. And therefore there are hidden codes related to drowning that do not count, and therefore we underestimate significantly the drowning problem. On the other hand, in low-income countries like the ones that Christina visits and John with the foundation, we have very high actual drowning rates, but there are not so many hospitals. And the drowned person who did not visit the hospital and therefore has not been recorded doesn't count towards the actual drowning figure of this country. John identified this when he went to different countries with the foundation. There were not records of drowning deaths officially, but he witnessed so many newspapers who were talking about people missing because they went fishing or they went swimming and they never came back. So the local press gave us a more complete picture of what actually happens than what the national statistics could give us. And according to John, if non-hospitalized drownings were included, then global rates would reach more than 1 million people dead annually around the world. So by using the wrong figures, we underselling ourselves in order to be able to get some funding and governing attention for the problem. And let's see now what are the consequences of a drowning episode for the casualties, the rescuers and the society. We were talking with Jost in the car and in the hotel. How could we describe the drowning person? What the profile would be? And well, it varies. It's not only the actual victim who either died or survived, whose profile might be important. There are so many other people around the incident that are worth mentioning, to be mentioned. So we might have a near-death experience of the person who eventually survived. That could be distressing. There are not so many references of distressing near-death experiences, but still there are some. So one of the consequences is that a person instantly was dead and then he came back to life and he described hellish and distressing experiences. Of course, usually the majority of the cases that experienced something unique and extraordinary say that they went to a heavenly place, they had a meeting with a bright light that considered as Jesus or another entity, depending on their religious or non-religious beliefs. This being surrounded them by love and compassion and made questions about what have you done in your life in terms of love and knowledge. And the usual review of life that we have seen in so many accounts in Hollywood and real narrations has usually an educational meaning. When they see their life as a film in front of them, and the consequences that their actions had in someone else's life, this is usually not in a way that wants to punish them for things that they have done wrong, but for educating them. And then they are allowed to come back to life because they have an unfulfilled goal in terms of knowledge and love. There are some legal implications involved, because when someone drowns in an aquatic facility, especially in the United States, there are so many people that want to take money, to make money from the story. So the legal system is so highly advanced that there are so many counselors and advisors and lawyers that may approach the family whose person died and say, okay, we will try to take some money out of this case. So the lifeguard may be involved in this situation, which makes him look like another type of victim in this situation, as well as the aquatic facility. Another consequence might be the psychological pain for the surviving relatives. It's so negative and distressing and upsetting, the event when someone in your family has died, that might make you a psychological victim if you have lost a loved one. Especially in couples, research shows that within 5 years, if they have lost their child, couples divorce within 5 years. 95% of the couples divorce. Because they start blaming each other. Oh, it was my mistake that I left the child, my son, unattended in the bath, and I went to open the door when the bell rang. Oh, no, it was my mistake, the father might say, because I'm working so many hours and I'm leaving you alone with the child and you cannot cope with so many responsibilities. Another consequence might be the financial cost, because we know from research that for every drowning death, every person that visits the hospital, there are about 4 more cases of people who eventually survived. But they go into the hospital, they are admitted for precautionary reasons, for prevention, to avoid something happening on a secondary stage. So that increases dramatically the costs in the hospital, and therefore public health costs are very, very high. On the other hand, in terms of prevention, in order to be able to maintain a very high safety, we need to operate many lifeguards that will operate helicopters, rescue boats, and the more demanding a rescue, the higher the costs will be in terms of human resources, equipment, fuel, etc. And one of the final consequences that I have noted here is the post-traumatic stress disorder. I submitted a paper once, and Steve said that this might lead to false impressions, so it was rejected, because we didn't have enough evidence to say that in lifeguard settings there are so many cases where people might have a post-traumatic stress disorder. But in the general rescue situation, many rescuers that are not lifeguards, but they might go to rescue someone in a shipwreck, or fire rescuers who might be involved in fire disasters or even aquatic disasters, suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a very traumatic situation that generates annual flashbacks, nightmares, and generally speaking, your life is destroyed and ruined emotionally and psychologically, because every so often you recall the traumatic memories you have. For example, a fire brigade member who went to a burned house and witnessed a very young girl holding his doll dead because she was burned. He might, after 1 year, have nightmares because he will think, in this position, my daughter could be. And therefore, this person's life, the firefighters, changes dramatically because he recalls this memory. There is a single case of a lifeguard who witnessed a gunshotting in the swimming pool, and he jumped into the water, remaining under the water for as long as the gunshot lasted. And he had nightmares. He went to the school, he was threatening people with a knife, and he was talking about life and death. And this child, this teenager, was never like before. He left the school, he stopped working as a lifeguard, and no one knows what happened. The parents said he doesn't seek psychological attention, it's just an unfortunate event. But this child was the most depressed person he ever knew. So many things can happen to the people who were involved or to the actual victim. So several questions are posed because of this drowning problem. How could a drowning incident be faced or prevented? We will talk about this later. What theories and models have been proposed or implemented to support the lifeguard profession? Some theories and models that we can refer are from the past, the instinctive drowning response as it was described by Frank Mia in the 1970s, if I remember well, where he described how a drowning victim would look like. He cannot shout for help, he cannot move the arms and the legs in a good way, good enough that will support him and make him capable of remaining above the water, etc. Another theory or model, however you want to call it, could be the protection rule 10 to 20, established in the United States by Ellis and Associates. You have 10 minutes, 10 seconds to scan your aquatic area and 20 seconds to make an intervention. The 10 to 10 rule established 5 minutes. And so many other models, the 4W model of drowning, the seasons made by John, and so many. And another question is, why do people make intentionally risks? This refers to what John says, human stupidity, or overestimation of our limits. So, what possible answers could resolve the drowning problem? I have classified here what water safety organizations, governments, and local authorities could do. So, water safety organizations could create publications based on updated knowledge, and this may be the answer of what we were discussing earlier today. Please convince me why we should do research. Because, like Martin said, we need research to back up our teaching. Our teaching should be evidence-based. And also we need to teach people how to prevent avoidable drownings, which is what John said. Sometimes we try to prevent the difficult cases, and we are involved in drowning incidents that would be easily avoidable. On the other hand, governments need to provide enough supervision and rescue equipment, which sounds so common sense in countries like UK and in the United States, but not in my country, or in Poland, as I explained to you with the poster that I presented yesterday. Because we think that a swimming pool is a small sea, so we don't need to organize lifeguard system. And also we need to include in our national curriculum water safety, which is what actually happens in England, but we see that it doesn't happen in the best possible way, because we don't have swimming teachers teach swimming. We have only teachers, primary school teachers teaching swimming. And then local authorities need to arm the lifeguards with equipment and training to produce warning signs and to apply the risk assessment. And this is one possible solution. This is one answer to apply the conceptual model of public health, which is constituted by 3 elements: the knowledge